I always do that ahead of time, so let's just do this. So hello everyone. So we are now live. I'm just testing the audio, making sure that everything is working here. Welcome to the show. So my name is SassePhoto. For those of you who don't know me, it's Christian Sasse. And one second, I've got an echo somewhere. I have an echo somewhere. One second, I just have to get the echo. Okay, I got rid of the echo. That's fine. I had an echo on my side. I apologize. But that's why I always test this before. So anyway, welcome to another show. I can tell you this is going to be incredibly interesting. I can see all my friends here. I can see Kathy, Margaret. I can see Pacific Northwest, Kate. Of course, my team is there. Susie, Jenny, and Nichole. I can see at the moment. Baffle and so on. So I can imagine that Pacific Northwest Kate, for example, would love to become a falconer. Well, this is your big opportunity to find out how to do it. Amanda's also there, very nice. So nice, Christy, and so on. I hope Zach is there from London, wonderful, Joanne, and so on. So I'll see you in a moment. I'm going to go on silence now. So we have another 1.5 minutes or less to go, and then we're going to have an exciting show. We're running in Periscope, by the way. I'm going to start Periscope running in parallel, so it's wonderful. Fine. See you soon. Hello everyone and welcome to another show. I'm just going to change the video output here because I've got a much better resolution actually. I'm very proud of that. Well, let me just get myself, now I'm double there and I'm not exactly sure why. Why am I double? 1 second. Oh, that's funny, isn't it? Let me get rid of one of them here. Let's see, I'm not sure at the moment where this is coming from, but never mind. I have a double today, that's great. So we're going to have a really exciting show today. So it's another falconry, but this time you're going to learn actually how to become a falconer. I would also like to welcome all my friends on Periscope. I can see them there. So very nice, we're running in parallel. I can see your comments too, so thanks for joining. Zach is, I think, on both channels. Zach, you are in London on both channels. It's really funny. Thanks for sharing, by the way. So welcome to all my friends. I've just greeted you. And I just wanted to show you quickly my technology, how it's actually possible to stream in true HD. We're streaming actually in true HD at the moment. So this is the highest resolution, even on Periscope. And I could be streaming in 4K. I just wanted to quickly see if I can get this from my other phone. I'm going to just give me a second. I'm going to try and get a live picture here. Let's see if I can manage this. I have to, Christian's iPhone. Yes, come in iPhone. And let's see if we can get that. Yes, I can actually. Okay, 1 second. I just have to change the resolution here and then we'll have it in a second. Scale to fit. Okay, and I must just make sure we don't have an echo. Just give me a second. Okay, now we shouldn't have a second echo. Okay, so let me quickly show you my setup here. So what is new here is I've got this super fast iMac here. It's running. This thing is a super duper machine, so I'm running in true HD on several channels. That makes it possible. You can see here's another small phone. Here I can see what my friends on Periscope are doing, which is, here I'm looking at Periscope. Here I can blend in on the third screen. I can blend in the website. That's the website we're going to look today at. That's the Ohio Falconery Association. And then on top, I can see the comments and so on coming in live, and also your live stream, which is, by the way, about 40 seconds behind, but in Periscope, it's almost in real time. So that's the YouTube channel. That's why I have all these different screens, and this is in 4K on this screen, so I can actually broadcast in 4K. But the reason why I'm not broadcasting in 4K at the moment on YouTube is because we have a guest, and you can see already there's the guest waiting. You can actually see it on the screen. And the guest who's waiting, Jeff, we are only connecting in about 1080p, so it's no use going into 4K. So you can see it's quite a nice setup anyway. So let me just blend out of this here again and get myself back on the screen here. Now I'm still a bit puzzled why I'm double there. I'm really puzzled, and I don't know. I'm double. I think I know why. I think I know. Hang on. Now I know. I got rid of myself. That's good. Now I got rid of myself. So this is also very nice, by the way. I've got a 4K camera at the moment, and you can see the colors are much better, by the way. So sorry for all the technical boredom, but this is the normal camera, and you can see the quality that we have in streaming. It's an enormous difference in quality. The colors are much better and so on. So it's really very nice to have all this progress. I've been working like crazy to make all this possible for you, and thank you for all the support for that. Okay, so now let's go over. I'm going to now blend myself out here, and I'm going to get our guest here, and this is Jeff, our guest today. Jeff, welcome to the show. I hope we can hear you. Let's just make a test. Jeff, can you hear me?
Yep. Yep, I hear you, Christian.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, very good. We can hear you loud and clear, Jeff. Very good. Well, Jeff, who is that beautiful friend next to you?
This is Lacey right here. She's a 4-year-old red tail.
4-year-old. Well, we could see it's a beautiful red tail, but is it a male or a female? Yes, a female, right?
Female.
A female, right. And how much does she weigh?
She weighs around 1,400 grams right now.
1,400 grams. Wow. Is that a lot, or is that about average? Wait 1 second, let me just see.
Female.
Right. 1 second, I'm just going to get you over here so I can blend in your title at the same time. Here we go. There's your title. So that's Jeff Melsop, Ohio. So you're close to Columbus, Ohio, right? Or at least 30 minutes away.
I live about 30 minutes west of Columbus.
Okay. 30 minutes west. And now comes the interesting question, of course, Jeff. How did you become a falconer? And more interesting, the topic today, which is going to fascinate a lot of people, is how do we actually become a falconer? And that's a great question. You know, I never thought about it until you told me you actually look at apprentice and so on. So give me something about your exciting background, how you got into this, and what it takes to become a falconer. Let's start the conversation.
The way I found out about it was I heard about a guy that was a town that lived not too far from me, and I heard that he did it. I didn't know that he was allowed to do it, or that it was something that was legal or available. So I heard about a person that was doing it. So I looked into it a little bit, and I found out that they were having a falconry meet, or a gathering of people to do some hunting. So I inquired about it, and it was open to the public. So I went and joined them on a hunt, and I was just taken. They had there was some Harris hawks there hunting, and a big red tail that was real impressive. And I was really taken by it, and I just figured this is something I had to do. So I figured out the guy that lived in the town next to me and started going over to his place and asking him if I could learn some more about it and stuff, and ended up becoming his apprentice. So that's how I got started in it.
All right. And how many years ago was that?
I've been doing it about, it's been about 8 years now.
8 years. And
Yeah.
and Jeff, what got you so interested in then looking at apprentice and other falconers and so on? Why did you choose that? It's
Well, when you get into it, you have to be able to even to become a falconry in the state of Ohio and most states in the U.S., you have to be an apprentice for 2 years before you can become a general and then on to a master falconer. So anyhow, after and also you're not allowed to take the falconry test with your state until someone tells the DNR for your state that they're willing to be your sponsor. So once you get somebody that's willing to sponsor you, you have to study and take a test. And once you take the test, then you can build your muse, or the place that you keep your bird. You get that inspected by the state. And once you get inspected by the state that your housing is adequate, then you can get a capture permit to capture a bird. And you can have either a red-tailed hawk or a kestrel as an apprentice.
Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I just wanted to say hello quickly to my Periscope friends. I could just see Angel's piano here. She plays wonderful music, by the way. I just wanted to say that. If you ever want to hear exceptional music, and a very talented, very talented Angel's piano is there, and she loves wildlife too. So it's very nice. I just had to greet them. She says, "There's a mini Sasse." Well, that's me. Yes, I've shrunk a little bit to make myself not appear too large, but that I'm still there. So that's why. So that's good. Anyway. It's important. I also can see Kit is there on Periscope. Very nice, Kit. Nice to have you there, because Kit has gone through quite some difficult things in Reading. You probably heard of the big fire in Reading. So our heart goes out to Kit, and I hope it's a lot better now. So just to all the difficult times that people have, it's always important to remember that. Well, very nice. Loving the mini you. Thank you. Thank you. It's very, very nice. Yeah, and I think it's better I stay that small, because I should be there, but I shouldn't really be there. So that's why I think this is perfect. Okay, so everything's going very fine on both channels. That's great. So, Jeff, let's get back to your bird. I mean, when did you acquire this beautiful red tail, and how do you feed it? And how is it actually once they eat? Do they actually fly a lot, or do they just sit down lazy like eagles do? And how does it work?
Basically, you have to feed them whole animals. So I feed her what she catches during the year. Hunting. So whatever rabbits and squirrels she catches during the year, I keep and feed them back to her during the year. Also, day-old chicks and rats. So you have to give them a diverse diet. They need to eat whole animal, feather, fur, and bone. They got to have the bone, because that's how they get the calcium. They die if they don't get it. And so that's the diet they're on.
Yeah, and Jeff, we have some listeners actually asking now, what exactly is a falconer? So maybe that's a trivial question for you, but I think it's important to clarify that. So what is a falconer exactly?
A falconer is someone that hunts with hawks. So in falconry, I mean, this is a hunting sport. So this is not, it's a sport. It's a sport to hunt with. It's not, none of us will, or just have a bird just to have a pet. These are not pets. They'll never be a pet. I mean, you can obviously, my bird tolerates me, and we get along as long as I help her catch game and eat well. Then she tolerates me too. So it's kind of a mutual relationship there. So, but they're not pets. They're not just to be kept to look at or to say that you have one. This is a sport of hunting. I'll never take. I make clear, if anybody I sponsor as an apprentice, I make clear that this is, if you want to become a falconer, this is hunting, and you got to take. That's what these birds are for, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, and Zach from London is actually asking, how do you train a falcon? So can you say a few words? I mean, we wouldn't have a clue how to do that. Well,
there's differences. This is a hawk. Like I said, as for a falcon, see that she just roos. So when you see them roos like that, that means they're content. So she's content right now.
Well, with so many viewers, I think it's a good reason.
But this is a hawk, and the training for a hawk is different than a training with a falcon. But my part of the country and the type of ground I got in the here in the environment is most conducive to hunting with a hawk. Now, if you go out in the western United States where it's wide open expanses, not much woods or hills, then hunting with a falcon's okay. But here, as far as training a hawk, what we do is work with a passage redtail. What I do is work with passage redtails. When I say passage redtail, that's a bird that's born in the wild that we trap, that's less than a year old, but out of the nest and on its own. So we trap a bird that's less than a year old, that's on its own. And from the time from day one, we have a set agenda how we train it, and different people vary a little bit, but it's pretty close. From the time I get the bird, after I trap it, I get it off the trap, and I weigh it, check its health, make sure if it's a bird I'm going to keep that it's healthy and it's got big, strong feet. If you can see the feet on this bird, they're pretty big. And I want big, strong feet. I want a good, healthy bird. And if once I decide to keep it, then I put it in the mew. I hood the bird with what I use as a hood. You can tell she don't like the hood so much. But if you can see what the hood looks like.
Right. Yes.
I hood the bird and I put it in the mew and I keep it dark. For about 5 days, I keep the bird in a low light situation like that, just to keep the bird stress free. And it's basically resetting the bird. So each day when I come home, I wait till it gets dark. I go out and get the bird and I offer it food. And so once the bird takes food from an offering of food from me off of what I use is a skewer, like a bamboo skewer, not a pin, but a bamboo skewer. You never feed a bird with your open hand, because once you train a bird that you have food in your hand, what may they do? Grab your hand with a big, strong set of talons. So that's not good. So you never relate the bird. You never want to relate the bird with you having food in your actual hand. So I offer the bird meat on a skewer. Once the bird takes that meat on the skewer, like up by its beak like this, then that's the first step. Then I feed it just a certain amount, how much I think it needs to be, and then I put the bird back up in the mew. Next day I come out, feed the bird a certain amount, weigh the bird, check its weight, see where it's at. I don't want to lose too much. I don't want to lose too little. It's all based on weight and food. Next day I come out and I offer the bird food on a skewer. I might offer it a little bit lower. See, like this. Once that bird bends its head a little bit to take that food from the skewer, that's the next step, because that bird's made itself vulnerable to me. And that means it trusts me just a little bit. And then each day I keep proceeding until I'm feeding the bird on the skewer down by the feet. Once that bird will bend all the way down to the feet to take the meat off the skewer, then it's trusted me quite a bit. Then the next step is to put the bird on a perch in the house. And this is day by day, you know what I mean? And I put the bird on a perch in the house, and I'll have the bird offer the bird food on my glove, and then get it used to taking it from the glove, and then reach into the glove, then step into the glove, then hop into the glove, then fly into the glove, then flying further to the glove, day by day. This usually takes about a week, week and a half to get to that stage. Then the next step, after you get the bird to fly all the way across the room, immediately on command with the whistle, each time you give the bird, offer the bird food, it's always with a whistle, always with a whistle.
That makes sense.
So that way, later on, when you're hunting in the middle of the woods and you lose contact with the bird, as soon as it hears the whistle, it'll come from hundreds of yards away to find you. So you always relate food with the whistle. So once you get to that point, the bird's coming to you without hesitation, as far as across the room, then you go outside. But see, once you go outside, the bird knows it's outside. And at this point too, this has been after about 5 days or so, you can take the hood off the bird in the mew and leave the mews open so it can orientate itself to its new environment outdoors. So then when you do the training outside, you put the bird on a perch outside and have it just hop a short distance to your fist. If the bird comes to your fist instead of trying to fly off and away from you, then that's another step in the procedure. So then you start on what we call creance training, where you have a bird, you put a line on the bird where you can go a little bit further than this length of leash. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you start having the bird fly to you a little bit further outside with the outside distraction. At this time too, you also start lure training. So what you do there is you take a lure. It could be any kind of piece of leather or hunk of, usually it's shaped like a rabbit or a small bird or something. And I always use a nice big chunk of meat on it, a full day old chick, something extra special. So, and you start throwing that lure down in front of the bird so that when the bird goes to that, it always knows it gets something extra special every time that lure comes out. It's always a big piece of meat, not just the little tiny tidbits you have in your hand. The bird learns that, and the bird starts to love to see that lure because it knows it's going to get a good meal. So then you incorporate that in the creance training, flying the bird further and further without hesitation. And then along with that, each night, you start training the bird more and more with the lure to where the bird starts taking the lure. What you do is you hold the lure off the ground a little bit, have the bird fly down and take the lure hanging, but not all the way to the ground. Then the next night you'll spin it in a small circle like this, and the bird will come hit the lure in the small circle. Then the next day it's swinging the circle around your body, and then more and more until it's till you're on a big wide swing, blowing the whistle like crazy, and the bird hits it mid swing. It's almost like an art, you know what I mean? To where I'm sure you've seen people do that. And that's what it is. And why you want that bird to be so jacked up and love that lure so much is when I'm in a situation and my bird's saying flying to a dangerous place like utility wires, or there's hunters in the area, or anything that's dangerous, or if I think the bird is not paying attention to me and I want to get it back right away, I want to be able to pull that lure out and the bird come to that no matter what, even if it don't want to just come to the whistle and the small little tidbit piece of meat. So that's why you incorporate that lure. So then once you do this to where the bird's really well trained to the lure, the bird's flying to you all the way across the yard on a line, and you get an immediate reaction. And over this whole course, it's been about 2 weeks of doing this, you lower the bird's weight, healthy weight, about 10%. So when I first trapped the bird, I got a nice plump, healthy bird, so that I know that it's not underweight. Then I'll slowly take the bird's weight down about 10% of its weight that it was on the trap. That's just to make sure that the bird is hungry enough to want to work with you. So once I've lowered that down, it's doing well on the creance, it's doing well on the lure, the weight's down at the right amount. I get an immediate response. As soon as I hit the whistle, the bird's coming to me every time without hesitation and never flying away. Then it's time to go hunting. As soon as I decide that it's time to go hunting, I'll free fly the bird for the first time with no jesses or leash or nothing. I'll use telemetry. I'll put telemetry on the bird because I don't want to lose the bird. So I got this is a radio receiver, something like this. And there'll be a transmitter like this attached to the bird anytime I free fly the bird. So I'll free fly the bird for the first time. I'll put it on the perch in the yard, blow the whistle. If the bird does what it's supposed to do, flies directly to me instantly on command, it's time to go hunting. And immediately, absolutely immediately thereafter, I take a bird hunting for its first time.
That's
and
fascinating.
That whole training takes that whole agenda takes about 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. It sounds very, as Zach already said here also on Periscope, it's a very systematic approach. My question before, I see lots of questions coming in, which is wonderful. So we're going to start in a moment. But I'd just like to ask you, so this is a red-tailed hawk. What is from in your experience the easiest bird, or maybe the bird that is best to work with from all the raptors, and what is the most difficult one that you can imagine to train?
Each bird has its own characteristics. Each bird is an individual, even if it's a red tail, with red tails, an early season. So one that you trap as soon as the trapping season comes in August, that's a female. So an early season trap female is probably the easiest to work with. The hardest red tail would probably be a late season male. Males are a little bit more difficult to work with, and they're a little bit smaller. Me, myself, I like females. They're bigger and they can handle squirrels. We have very large fox squirrels where I live. They can weigh up to 2 pounds and they're really mean. So I want a bird that's big enough to be able to handle one of those easily because they can deliver some really nasty bites to the feet. So big female is what I like. They're easier to work with, especially if they're trapped early season, and the male red tails are tougher. Then there's, a lot of falconers like Harris hawks. They're the only bird that's a social bird, social hawk. You can hunt those with other hawks, or other Harris hawks. So like some people will hunt them in what's called a cast of 2, 3, or 4 Harris hawks hunting together, and they hunt like a wolf pack. So a lot of guys like them, they're a highly intelligent bird. Sometimes can be difficult to work with just because they're very smart, and you got to be careful not to let the bird outsmart you during training. Also, there's goshawks. That's an accipiter, a true hawk, whereas a red-tailed hawk is a buto. So, a little bit different variation. But a goshawk is a true hawk, and anyhow, extremely fast. Most people hunt them off the fist, whereas my bird will follow me through the woods, through the tree to tree, and follow me. And when I kick up a rabbit or whatever, it'll take off and go catch that game. Whereas guys that hunt with a goshawk will keep the bird on their fist the whole time, carry the bird, and when they kick up a rabbit, the bird's so fast that it can fly off the fist and catch the rabbit before it gets away. But they're very high strung and can be hard to work with. You know what I mean?
Well, Jeff, you really have explained that with such meticulous patience and detail. Thank you so much. That's really great. I'm going to finally head to our audience because so many questions are coming in, and it's really wonderful. Thank you so much. So, and the bird, as someone just remarked, is attentively listening to you and seems to agree. So I think it's very clear that you're a very good falconer. So let's go to Pacific Northwest Kate. Is this a full-time? It's a full-time occupation, I bet. Even more time-consuming than children, she says, probably from experience. Yes, it is from experience. How do you manage your time, Jeff? Is it more difficult than bringing up children? That's a good question.
No, during the initial training, really pretty much it's an hour to 2 hours a day is what you need to plan for taking care of one of these birds. So it's not as tough as you may think. And then once you get them past the initial training, and especially after well into the first season of hunting, you know, as long as you're taking the bird hunting a few times a week and spending about a half an hour to an hour an evening with the bird, just exercising it and getting it used to being around you. That's well enough. So, I mean, it is a time commitment, but I mean, it's something that's manageable.
Very nice. And next question from Jackie Porter. How many hours a day do you work with your bird?
It depends on the time of the season. I've had my bird for a few years now, so my bird's trained. I work with my bird, like I said, about an hour a day from the start of the hunting season or thereabouts before, when I'm getting it ready to start hunting around the 1st of September to the first or second week in March. Then we put them up for what we call the molt, like the bird's in now. It's finishing up the molt where it sheds out all of its feathers and then grows new ones back in. So during that time, I don't hunt the bird. I put the bird up, I feed it real well, and get it real fat and have lots of nutrition so that it can grow a real nice set of feathers back in. And I don't work with it so much. And then just keep it fat and healthy and happy. And then when it starts getting within a few weeks before the hunting season for the next year, I start slowly bringing its weight back down to a more manageable hunting weight. And then manning the bird down and getting it ready to hunt again. And then we start spending time with the bird again throughout the hunting season.
Yeah, and Zach, I just see a question coming in from Zach from Periscope is, where do you keep your bird?
We keep, falconers keep their birds in what's called a mew. That's basically the housing for the bird. What I have is a 10 by 10 enclosed mew. So it's out of the elements, basically kind of like a shed or a small barn, 10 foot by 10 foot. And that opens up into another 10 foot by 10 foot open area that's outdoors, but enclosed, you know, with 2x4 wiring, so nothing can get to it.
Good. And here is from Aunt Red 19. How did you get her, and how old was she when you started training her?
Hold on just a second.
Sure, take your time. If we're getting too stressful for the bird, let us know. We can wait.
No, I'm going to have my wife come get her and put her back outside because she's been in here long enough. But no, what was the question again about?
Oh, the question was, how did you get her, and how old was she when you started training her?
Like I said, whenever we get a capture permit to trap a bird, we have to trap one that's less than a year old. So there you go. There you go. My wife can take her back outside. Sure. So what we do is we get a capture permit like that. And we trap one that's less than a year old. And the reason we know that they're less than a year old, if you see her tail feathers, see how they're red? Okay. Well, because it's a red-tailed hawk. But when they're less than a year old, they're brown. So that's how we know they're less than a year old. After they grow in their tail feathers for the second season, they're red. And so we'll know that bird is more than a year old. So we capture a bird that's less than a year old, and we do it on a Belshari trap. I have one here. This is the type of trap that I made. This is what I use to trap a hawk with. And what it has a door here, and I put a mouse inside here or two, and I drive down the road, and if I see a hawk on a pole or in a tree, I slow the car down to about 5 or 10 miles an hour, and I throw this out the window next to the side of the road. What happens is we keep going. As long as you don't stop the car, it won't scare the bird off, and the bird will stay there. We drive on down the road a few hundred yards, and the bird looks at that mouse in it, and it comes down, and when it tries to grab the mouse out of the cage here and pulls back on one of these nooses, it's hung, and that's how we capture them. So that's how we do it.
Right, very nice. Well, we've got some interesting questions coming in for you, Jeff. They're just more and more questions. My goodness. Terry Green, hi Terry, asks, hi Jeff, beautiful hawk. Why do they call it the craft falconry when the craft involves working not only with falcons but with many birds of prey? That's a great question.
It's just an ancient term. The sport goes back about 4,000 years. And, so it goes all the way back to the ancient Egyptians, all the way up until medieval times and into the times of, knights and kings and all that stuff. And that time, falcons were sought after, and that was just the way it was. And there was a hierarchy for what birds that you were allowed to have. Like only a king would be allowed to have a gerfalcon. And that's an all white type of falcon. And then certain people in the court was allowed to have a peregrine falcon. And then ladies were expected to fly a merlin, and on and on. And there was a hierarchy like that. So anyhow, that's just the way it was. So a lot of falcons. I don't know why it was just called falconry instead of hawkry. I don't know.
Right. No, good. Very, very good jump into history there. So Mark here is saying, so now he was obviously listening while you were explaining, the systematic approach to getting the trust's to getting the bird's trust. So he said it's also imprinting it at a young age is important. Then the question is, will it trust other people, strangers? And also, do you then consider your birds still to be wild?
Yeah, the birds are a passage bird. Like I got is not an imprint. So there's a definite difference between an imprint bird and a passage bird. And with the passage bird, that's a bird that was raised by its own parents and on its own accord. And I trapped that bird after it left the nest. That's what the birds I work with. So I did work, it was relatively young when I started working with it, but it's not imprinted. So an imprint bird would be a bird that the first thing it ever sees is a human being, then the bird's imprinted. With my birds, working with a passage bird, if I decide that next year, say this bird's at breeding age now, I want to release it, get it back into the breeding in the wild, then I can release this bird. This bird will be fine on its own. It'll return to the wild. It knows how to hunt, and it'll be fine. And all is well, and I'll trap another bird and do it again. Now, an imprinted bird, you can never release to the wild because they have absolutely no fear of humans, and it thinks, for all practical matters, it thinks it is a human. So that's a bird that you can't release. If you decide to get rid of it or want a different bird, the only way that you can get rid of a imprinted bird or a captive raised bird or a captive raised imprinted bird would be to transfer it to another falconer that's going to hunt it. And there's a procedure to do that, to transfer it to a wildlife rehabilitator or somebody that shows it for educational purposes. And that's really it. So you can't release the bird to the wild. Whereas with these passage birds like I work with, you can release them back to the wild and they're fine.
Very explicit answer. Thank you so much. Osprey Mama is back. Does he sometimes use GPS tracker? I think, Osprey Mama, he just showed that your GPS tracker or any other type of tracking device. I think you just showed it. Maybe you can just show that again.
The type that I use is just VHF, okay? And it works well with hawks. Typically with a hawk, if a hawk flies off and gets lost, it's only going to, it's not going to be too far distances normally. Now with falcons, the range is a lot further because of just mostly the type of areas that you are hunting with them and whatnot. And you can still use this type of receiver and transmitters, but typically they'll use more just ones that are longer range. GPS technology is just getting there, and there is some GPS units out there, but it's just starting to get popular because, of course, you got to have a GPS transmitter that's small enough to operate, and still be attached to the bird. So that technology is coming. I'm sure it's going to get more and more widely available, but there is some people running GPS now, but it's just getting started.
Very good. Good answer. Yeah, the technology is definitely getting better. We can also see that with David Hancock. They have these GPS trackers that they're now putting on eagles, getting a lot smaller. You're right. So Amanda, hi, Amanda from Texas. Amanda Price is asking, hi, Jeff. You said the starter apprentice bird is a kestrel or red-tailed hawk. Which is easier? I would think the kestrel due to size. Is that so?
I think it's completely opposite, but because
okay.
Well, if I sponsor somebody, I'm going to want them to start out with a red-tailed hawk because I want somebody to be able to handle a large bird of prey, not be scared of it, and to actually take larger game. Now, later on down the line, if they want to do a kestrel, that's all right. But remember, this is all about weight management. So from the time you trap that bird or get that bird, you're managing their weight to be able to get a response. So if they don't need to eat, they're not going to want to be trained. So, and you got to manage that weight in a way that they're still healthy, but still want to perform. So with a kestrel, you can imagine on something that small, how much more difficult it would be to manage the weight. Whereas you have on a red tail, you have a much wider window and it's a lot easier without harming the bird. On a kestrel, it's a lot easier to get the bird sick because you took its weight down too much.
Yeah, so that's size isn't the relevant factor here. So Pacific Northwest, Kate again, so from Vancouver. How many birds have you trained, Jeff? Do you get attached to the birds, and have you lost any birds?
I've trained about 10 birds so far. I was running 2 different birds at a time for a while. Right now I'm just hunting with one because I got 3 apprentices and I need to be able to devote some time to them too. So it's easier for me just to use one bird right now. As far as, what was the second part of the question, Christian?
Let me just see. Do you get attached to the birds? Have you lost any birds?
You really can't. Here's the thing. I've never lost a bird more than overnight. One time I lost a bird. Got late in the evening. The bird took off to a set of woods, and I knew the bird was heavier than it should have been hunting at, just because of the way it was performing that evening. So I just left it alone, and I waited till the next morning before it got daylight. Went out with my telemetry, tracked the bird down, called the bird back to me. That's typically the way that's supposed to work. And in the morning, of course, the bird's hungry, wants something to eat, so it jumped right back down to me. So never lost a bird. As far as getting attached to birds, I mean, you can get attached to a bird a little bit, but you can't let yourself get so attached to the bird that you don't want to hunt them. You're scared to hunt them. You're scared you'll lose them. I tell my apprentices, if you do everything the way I tell you to do and follow the directions, the chance of you losing a bird is very low. So it's not likely that you're going to lose the bird if you're doing things the way you're supposed to be doing. And secondly, when you are ready to release the bird, it's usually a happy time. The birds use the bird for a season, or they use the bird till it's about 3 years old and it's ready to be able to start to breeding age. And so you release the bird back when it's a better hunter. It's got a better chance at a longer life, and it's ready to find a mate and go off on its own.
Right, very good. Okay, next question, Jeff. Let's see, where are we now? Oh, this is a good one from Kathy Newton. Hi, Kathy, good to see you again. What do you do with the animals you hunt? Are they just to feed the hawk?
I'll eat some of the animals I hunt too. Like if I want to eat some rabbit, I'll keep the tenderloins out of the rabbit and then feed the rest of the rabbit back to the bird. But it's basically I got to feed the bird too, and I want the bird to have healthy food source. So it's pretty much a sharing type thing,
I think Glenn Hazelwoody, by the way, thank you to Glenn Hazelwoody, and also thank you for Osprey Mama. I just see that for the donations. Very kind. Thank you so much. Glenn Hazelwoody is asking, is there a specific age you would like to start to train? I think we did answer them, right? It has to be less than 1 year, but maybe you can just comment on that again.
Well, with the passage, all these birds are going to be less than a year old, whether you get a passage bird or you get an imprinted bird or whatever. Every one of the birds are going to be at that, within the first year. You there, Christian?
Yes, sorry, I forgot to put my microphone up. I just forgot. Sorry about that. I always put my microphone down so we don't get interference. Sorry about that. So let's go to the next question. Thank you. Margaret 59 also welcome here. Jeff, would you ever consider releasing Lacey back to the wild? Why or why not? Great question.
This bird here is the longest one that I've kept. Most of the time, like I say, I release them after 3 years. They're at breeding age. Then they start to get some hormonal tendencies to where they want to start trying to find a mate. And that's a good time for me to release them. This bird in particular that I got right now, right about that 2 to 3 years of it, right in the second year, right around age 2, she got West Nile, and it's a disease that's carried by insect or mosquitoes. It's prevalent in birds. There's nothing you can give them immune shots for it. But at the time, she hadn't been had any shots or anything. I didn't know about it, but that I could do that. But anyhow, she got West Nile and got real sick, and I nursed her back, and she survived it. But it really knocked. That year I didn't hunt her. I hunted my other bird, nursed her back, and then the next year. It affected her molt. When these birds get West Nile, it affects the way their molt is. So I wanted to give her another season to get a proper molt in and a proper set of feathers. you really couldn't tell there was anything wrong until they molded the feathers out, and the way the shafts were. The West Nile disease affects that. So I got that. We went through all that. I got the bird healthy over about that season and a half, and the bird, I think it kind of affected the way where they usually get that type of hormonal type thing and that drive to find off and pair with a mate and stuff. I haven't really seen that in this bird, and I think it was because of getting West Nile right at the stage where they start to get that. I mean, that's a personal opinion and just my personal opinion. So the bird still performs well, and if it starts to acting like it's ready to go off and find a mate and don't pay as much attention to me, then I'll release it. But I really think because of what happened to her, that kind of affected the way that they normally would. In the wild, the bird would have never survived. So, I mean, I had to keep the bird hydrated, and I had a heck of a time keeping her alive. But in the wild, the bird would have passed away for sure. But anyhow, that's the reason. No, I haven't released her.
Okay, good answer. And the next question, let's see. Proud Cat Mama of Two is saying, "Hi Jeff, what are the notable differences between a hawk and a falcon?"
Well, the biggest thing is, like I say, they hunt completely different. A bird, a hawk will hunt, closer to either by following you while you kick up game, from tree to tree or perch to perch. And then when you kick up game, the bird will go after it and try to get it. Or off the fist, like a goshawk or maybe a Cooper's hawk, where you're carrying the bird on the hand and you kick up the game and the bird takes off and goes and gets the game. A falcon, the whole thing's different. A falcon is the name of the game. When them guys are training falcons to hunt, they want them to go into a very, very high soar. So the higher, the better. And they'll train them to go up as high as possible with kites and all different kinds of things to get them to go higher and higher when they're in their soar, when they're hunting, 500, 1,000, 2,000 feet, and then they'll go on a very wide soar. It might be a 1 mile radius soar where you can barely see the bird. It's just a spot in the sky, and you may be hunting over a field, kicking up grouse or something. And so that's why in Ohio, where we got a lot of small woods or a lot of woods and hills and stuff, there would be no line of sight there. The bird would lose sight with you. And so it's not many people hunt falcons here. Out west, where you have wide open expanses and you can go over prairie ground or whatever, and you're kicking up and you got a falcon way up like that, a shaker or a peregrine or whatever it may be, and you kick up a grouse, then that falcon will come out of that stoop and go into a dive at over 200 mile an hour and hit that grouse or duck that you've flushed off a pond, or grouse that you've kicked up off the prairie, and it'll typically break its wing or whatever, and then it'll come down with that bird, break its neck with its beak, and start to eat.
Yeah, and here comes a question from Periscope, a very interesting one actually. So the one question is, do you actually use a dog to help you, like many people do in hunting? And that's a great question. The other one is a remark about your guitar, and there comes one from Periscope. Says, I see two, I think it was two Gibson guitars in the background, and then that goes together with the other question. I've seen one here from Susie also asking about your guitars in the background. Are birds attuned to music? So the one has to do with music, and the other one has to do with helping, dogs helping.
Okay. I just like to play around a little bit playing guitar. I have an old 1980s Peavey, a 2015 Gibson Les Paul, and the acoustic is a American-made Martin. So that's my three guitars, and I have one of my sons in a case back behind me, and that's an American-made Strat, but that's his. He he plays in a band, and he's got more guitars than he can keep at his place. So I got one of them here. So, but yeah, I like to pick a little bit around. And then the falconry question was?
Yes, the falconry question was one second. Yeah, about birds and music, of course, really. I mean, are birds in any way attuned to music? That's from Susie Q. Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think so. They're thinking about eating. Two main things is, is what can I eat, and can anything harm me right now? So that's, I think, their two biggest concerns.
Yes, now comes a long question from Mark Horner, my friend from Snohomish, Washington. I suspect some hunters start but stop training as it's a long-term commitment to a living creature as opposed to a gun or bow where you can just store and ignore it in use. So yeah, that's a great question. So how many do you actually give up falconry?
There's people that do. I mean, it's like anything, any type of sport or hobby, but a lot of times it's due to getting older. Like my sponsor hunted for years, and then he's in his late 60s and his knees aren't too good anymore. So he just can't physically do it. So, so it's, a lot of it's stuff like that, or have to live somewhere where they can't really keep a bird outside or something to that effect. But, that's usually the type of things it is. But, it is a serious commitment, and if, like I say, at least for the first 2 years, any good sponsor makes sure that their guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and if not, they won't be doing it no more.
Right, and that comes to the next question. I think we touched on this earlier. Sherry M is asking, how many birds do you have, and how many are you actually allowed? How long are you allowed to keep them, and so on? So it's a lot to do with numbers. How many do you have? How long are you allowed to keep them, and so on? Can you crossbreed them, and so on? So can you expand a bit on that subject? Thank you.
Yeah. So like I say, as an apprentice, for the first 2 years, you're only allowed to have one bird, either a red-tailed hawk or a kestrel. That's in Ohio. Quite a few states are like that, but some other states have slightly different arrangements. But in Ohio, as an apprentice, you can only have one bird in one of those two types. As a general falconer, you can have multiple birds. They can be either a passage bird from the wild or a captive raised bird, and it can be multiple type species at that point too. Falcon, Cooper's hawk, goshawk, sharp shin, red shoulder, whatever type of bird that might be. You can have multiple birds. And then when you become a master falconer after 5 years, or after 5 years of being a general falconer, so you have to be an apprentice for 2 years, then or an apprentice for 2 years, then a general falconer for 5 years, and then you can become a master falconer. And after you become a master falconer, you can still have all those multiple birds and everything, but you can also hunt with hunt with a golden eagle.
Right, I'm just going to try and show some of your pictures. So that was a good answer. Let me just see where we are now. Yes. Oh, yes. Well, I think we already touched on that one. That was birding trip. How is training a red-tailed hawk different to a falcon? We've touched on that one. Oh, that's an interesting from Kent W70. How can you trap a peregrine falcon? Can you comment on that, please?
There's different ways they trap them. A lot of time with mist nets. So what they'll do is they'll take a stick with a string and a tether on it, and there'll be a pigeon attached to that. And behind that there'll be like a netting material. So that pigeon will be fluttering, because it's on a string and tied to a stationary point. It'll be kind of fluttering up in the air every once in a while. If a peregrine falcon comes by, that it'll make a dive and when it dives down at that pigeon, it'll come into contact with that net and become entangled in it and trapped. Another way is like a bow net, like where you have a great big round netting device or a contraption on the ground, and in the center of it you put a pigeon, and it'll be fluttering. And then when a bird comes down and and grabs that pigeon in the center of that device, you can hit a button and it closes up on it. So that's another way. Another way is a pigeon harness. You can have a harness attached to a back of a pigeon that has a bunch of those nooses like I got on this trap, like my Balshari trap, and you can have that pigeon fluttering around, and when the falcon comes down to grabs the pigeon and starts pulling at it, it becomes caught in one of the nooses. So that's some of the ways. There's a few other ways to trap birds too, but
yeah, I'm just getting some of your pictures in here so that we have an idea of what it actually looks like. I'm just going to put this on the side. So maybe you could just comment on this one where you're hunting here.
I actually, like right in front of me, see, you can see the road there, but right in front of me is a field that's growed up, a thicket. And actually on this hunt right here, I remember we were hunting and my bird flew over to like a telephone pole over by that road while I was in the field. And that rabbit took off and it ran through a fence and out and around. And then the bird come after it, and the rabbit was trying to get back into the fence, and the bird grabbed it with one foot to where the rabbit couldn't get through the fence, and waited till I got there to help drag that rabbit out.
Right. Yeah, it's good. It's good if you stay a little bit left on the picture. That's right. Or at least from my side, left or right, doesn't matter. So I can show you pictures in parallel. That's good. No, the other side.
Oh, there you go.
That's it. I'm just trying to expand them quickly. Hang on. So we can, that one, oh my goodness. This is quite a picture. What are we seeing here?
That's just, she's got that rabbit by the head. That's the better the bird gets and the more experience it gets. That's the best way to get a hold of them. So when they get better at it, they get one set of talons in the head and one set of talons along the back. That bird can't get away, or that rabbit can't get away. See there, and that one is on. She got that rabbit, and then she drug it over and climbed up on my leg and started eating on it.
Oh my goodness, that's like a cat who brings a mouse in to show you.
I don't know. I think they just if they know you're there, they trust you not to steal their food. They think they're safe from predators if you're close by. It's my opinion.
That's a beautiful picture. How long do you actually go out hunting? I'm just going through the pictures now.
I mean, we'll go for the day. A lot of times it'll be me and one or two or three of my apprentices or friends, and we go out and we just take turns with, we'll hunt one field with my bird, and then we'll go to another field and hunt somebody else's with theirs, and so on.
Right. I'm just going to turn this picture 1 second. Some of them are coming in the wrong way. So let me just expand this a little bit so they can see the picture. Yeah, I just need to get that straight. 1 second. It's a bit more straight there. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there we go. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
So, like I say, if a person's wanting to be into falconry, they can't. That's my wife with one of my birds there.
Right.
You can see how it's got a full crop right there. See how it's already caught its rabbit, and I give it plenty of food, and it's happy.
There you go.
But like I said, with it being a hunting sport and all, you can't be too squeamish about things. You know what I mean? And that's a group picture of my sponsor, the bigger guy, and my three apprentices, and me, the short guy. So,
Good.
yeah, that's my bird and my 3 apprentices' bird, and my sponsor, who, like I say, his knees are bad now, so he no longer has a bird.
Right, that's the final picture I have here. Let's see.
And that's just a picture. My son was standing behind me with the camera as the bird flew to me. And if you can see through the tail feathers, you know how I told you the tail feathers are brown when it's in its first year. That's if
Right.
you could see the opposite side of the tail feathers, it would be brown and have those little bars across it like you see there. That's a red tail that's less than a year old, and that's how you can tell.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad, Nichole. Thanks, Nichole, by the way, for organizing this. So Nichole has, again, done a wonderful job to get you here. Thanks for participating. It's great. So we have some more questions coming in. Let's see. Where are we now? Oh yeah, Glenn Hazelwoody comes again. I noticed Lacey was so calm and well behaved and seemed to like her environment. Is that typical for all of your birds? This calmness.
Yeah, I mean, of a well-trained bird, you want them to a bird that's been trained well, manned well, gotten used to its surroundings and environment, and trust you. That's what you want to see. Actually, she'll end up being a lot more calmer than that as we get further and closer into the hunting season, because I haven't been working with her a whole lot, just a little bit, because it's still in the molt. Now, starting within a week or two, I'll start bringing her weight down and handling her more and getting her ready to start hunting. The hunting season starts here September 1st and runs to March 10th. I don't like to start the 1st of September because it's just still too hot, and the ground cover and stuff's just too green and growed up. So I start hunting in October. So I'll try to time things to where I get everything ready to go and get her started hunting about the 1st of October.
Very good. And thanks, since I see more people tuning in also from Periscope. I see Sapphire Song 91. Very nice to see you. I've been on Periscope for quite some time, but that's going to change because we can now broadcast in both channels. So I'm reading your comments too on Periscope. So if you have questions, just bring them in there too. Thank you for doing that. So let's jump here to Wobbies. Wobbies is there. Once you have a license, is there a retest? That's a great question, like a pilot, for example, right? Or do you have to?
No. At least in the United States, once you take your test, you then and have a sponsor so that you can take the test. Then you're considered. That's it. Now, and even most all the states, all of them I know of anyhow, will reciprocate on license. So, like if I moved to another state, as long as I was a licensed falconer in my state, I can get a license in their state without testing because they honor our test.
Right. And
so that's how that goes. Yeah.
Good. And here comes a good question from Margaret 59 again. I'm guessing that that you're not in an area where you have golden eagles, which is probably a very hard permit to get. Have you ever held a golden eagle on your fist?
No, I don't think I have. But there's not very many people that will hunt golden eagles east of the Mississippi. I know of a guy that has one in Pennsylvania, but there's not too many people that do because we don't have the type of game for them, for one thing. And the other thing is the most common way for somebody to acquire a golden eagle is from a nuisance type permit, where you have an eagle that's going in and causing a nuisance with a farmer taking game or taking livestock and stuff like that. And instead of euthanizing the bird, their Division of Wildlife will authorize a permit to a falconer. So a lot of times that's the most common way. And they're a lot of work. The guy and I mean, if you start working with a bird like that, there's a lot of responsibility. I mean, they have a lot of power in their, they can bear down and break both the bones in your arm easily. They can crush your hand. The amount of power that's in these birds' grasp is incredible. That red-tailed hawk of mine can take a rabbit and squeeze it by the head, crush its skull, and pop both his eyeballs out of the sockets. It can bear down on my arm stronger than any man, and it can bury its talons all the way to my bones and pop. And you saw the size of this glove here. I mean, this is a heck of a glove, and I mean, they can puncture clear through it. So they have a lot of power in their grasp, and so it's bad enough to get one to get a hold of you real hard that's a red tail, but an eagle can do some damage.
Yeah, Jeff, I can see you getting tired. So what we're going to do is take one more question, and then we'll spin we'll spin the wheel, and you can ask some questions, and we'll get some people to phone in. The last final question I'm going to take here. Let's see which one we're going to take from. Let me see if I can find someone who hasn't. Let me see. Oh yes, from Margaret 59 again. Does Lacey ever take pheasants? Let's make that the final question, and then we'll go and spin the wheel. Thank you.
I haven't got a pheasant with her. We don't have very many in this area. And it would be pretty tough for her to try to catch one. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it'd be pretty tough for a red tail to fly one down. They basically have to be in a tree in the right setup and hit the pheasant on the rise because they're pretty quick. And I have jumped a lot of woodcocks, but they're so fast that she ain't able to catch them even though she tries. But you'd have more luck with catching. If you wanted to take pheasants, your best bet would be like a goshawk.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So I've put a number here on the screen that you can call in now. So I've changed it a little bit. So I'm going to actually take it from my phone directly, which is a big advantage, because that way you will probably hear the caller too. So I'm just going to 1 second. I'm just going to put my phone here on live. So Jeff, this is a typical way we usually end the show with 3 questions where people can win something. So do you mind, is there any question you can ask? I mean, there's so many questions you can ask, but make it a little bit tough. That's fine. And let's get some people to dial in. So there's your number, 425-223-4960. So we'll open the lines for you to dial in. Jeff, go ahead with a question, please.
All right. Yes, this is true or false. Is a hawk full grown when it leaves the nest?
Okay, so there's your question. Is a hawk full grown when it leaves the nest? Now you should know that answer because we had a red-tailed hawk last year in an eagle's nest, and I made a complete documentary on that. So it's a great question, Jeff. Is a hawk fully grown when it leaves the nest? That is the question. So it's only a yes or a no. That is all you need to do. So dial in at that number, and let's see if we can, I'll put my phone, I'm going to put the speaker on this time, and see if I can. I'm going to get get this. Let's see if I can do this. Just get my microphone through, and then I'll wait for your. Yeah, I'm going to wait for your questions, for your calls now. So, is it a yes or a no? I think that's not a difficult question. So let's see if anyone can call in now. So the lines are open. I hope. So, I hope I released it. I'm not sure, but I should have. Sometimes I forgot to switch, but I think it's fine. It should work. Okay, are you dialing in? Tell me if there are problems with no one calling in yet. Okay, that's right. So Kevin's just saying no one's calling in yet. Thanks for that. So it means there is actually nobody calling in at the moment. So we'll wait a bit. So you can win something here. It's quite nice. This is what. Let me just see. You can win a nice. Just going to put this up here. 1 second, another level. We wait till some people dial in. There we go. So that's going to be the wheel that's going to spin. So we're going to wait now. So there's a caller coming in now. Let's have a look and see if we can get this right. I'm not sure. You know, Kevin, I might have a problem because I'm trying to get it off my phone, which should actually dial. I should be able to take it. I'm not sure. Maybe from my cell phone it doesn't work. You know, I never thought about that. 1 second. Let me see. Just hang on. I'm going to try and get this off my laptop. Let's see if it'll work there. So we'll try again. That was my mistake. I didn't think of that, but I suddenly thought maybe it doesn't work off. So I'm just starting. We are starting now. Okay, here we go. Yes, that is working. Let's see. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello. Hi, how are you? Whom am I?
Well,
Oh, who is it, please?
this is Margaret.
Margaret, 59. Well, you've been contributing wonderfully with questions. Thank you so much. That is great.
Well.
That is wonderful. So the question. Do you remember the question?
Yes, I do. Or are they fully grown? When
Yes.
they leave the nest.
Yes. So do they leave it early, or do they? So when they leave, are they fully grown yet or not?
I would say they are fully grown, but not really adults. They are certainly, of a size to be an adult, but they're not really. It's a really hard question. I mean, I'm kind of yes and no. Yes, they are as big as the adults, so I would go with they're fully grown.
So you're saying they are leaving the nest when they're fully grown. Is that the final answer, yes or no?
That is my final answer, yes.
Okay, Jeff, what, and you won't be able to hear Jeff, but he's hearing you. So Jeff, what do you say?
Yeah, that's correct. They're
Yes, that
fully
is
grown
correct.
and
So that is
they're
wonderful. So
ready
you're right.
to take care of their own, even though they still may hang around the nest.
Right.
Yes, so he's saying they can take care of their own. You can't hear him. I can't make that, but he can hear you. So you're completely correct. Very well done. So they can take care of themselves. So that is that is a good answer. Thank you for participating. Thank you.
Well, thank you too. And thank Jeff, please.
Yeah, will do. Thank you. Okay, thanks. Okay, Jeff, next question. Oh, wait, there's somebody coming in. Well, that's good. There's an incoming call, because what we're going to do is we're going to take the call. Let's see. Hello? Wait, that didn't work. Still. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Oh, here coming in again. Hello, can you hear me? Oh, that's not, doesn't want to answer. I have no idea why. Hello?
There's somebody coming in. Well, that's good. There's an incoming call.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, hi. Please put the background volume back so we don't get an echo from the same call. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, with whom am I speaking, please?
You're speaking to David Gates.
David Gates. Very nice to have you on the show. So, David, tell us, No, you can't tell us anything because we don't even know what the question is. So hang on, I'm going to ask Jeff for a. Jeff, I'm going to ask you for another question, please. I'll pass it on to you in a second. Just Jeff, go ahead.
Okay.
About how long can a red-tailed hawk live in captivity?
Yeah, that's the question from Jeff. Yes, it's okay. We don't have any echo. So the question from Jeff, which you couldn't hear, how long can a red-tailed hawk approximately live in captivity? Any idea?
I would say around 15 years.
Okay, so he believes around 15 years. Jeff, what do you say to that?
15
Not
years.
quite.
Not quite.
No.
So it's not good enough. It's not good enough, unfortunately. So, we'll ask someone else to call in. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Hello. Sometimes the calls don't get answered. Ah, there we go. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, with whom am I speaking, please?
Hi, this is Glenn Hazelwoody, Dr. Sasse.
Oh, it's you again. That's wonderful. Glenn Hazelwoody, that is great.
Dr. Sasse, I see you.
You see me, that's great. And I hear you.
That's my grandson. Thank you, sir. He loves your show.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I'm going to ask, that was the second question that wasn't answered yet from Jeff. And the question was, how long can a red-tailed hawk live in captivity?
There you go. But I'm ready.
Yes. How long can a red-tailed hawk live in captivity?
In captivity.
Yeah, and aim high. That's all I can say.
15 years?
We had 15 years, so I'm going to give you a second chance.
I see you, Dr. Sasse.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Sasse. I don't know the answer. I thought it was 15 years.
Give a guess. Come on, give a guess. Are you going to go larger or smaller? That's important. Just give it a guess. Come on, go at least 10 years higher or lower.
I like your show.
20.
You're going for...
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff is saying yeah, which means...
Yeah, 20 to 25
20,
years.
25. My guess was 25. That's why I said go 10 higher. Okay, good. Well, you got it. Well, fine. Congratulations. Okay, you got the second question.
Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Dr.
And thanks to your grandson. Wonderful to have children here. It's great. Thank you.
Yes, he's 5 and he very much enjoys it. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Pleasure. Fine. Bye. Okay, very fine. Now, we have one more caller, and let's give people a chance who've never called before. Is that possible? For the third one, we're going to have one more, but let's take someone who's never called in before. So, again, I'm just going to put the number up so you have it there. So that's the number, 425-223-4960. One final question from you, Jeff, please.
All right. At what speed does a peregrine falcon, what speeds does a peregrine falcon reach in a stoop?
Now, that's a beautiful question. This is something that I actually touched many, many sessions ago. We were discussing the spiral fall of a peregrine falcon, which is incredible. And so, what is? Did you say in? 1 second. Let's just take it. Okay. Hello, with whom am I speaking, please?
Hi, it's Candabu from Montreal.
From Montreal, that's wonderful. And your name was? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Candabu from Montreal.
Ken Dabu from Montreal. Very nice. Well, you got wonderful weather in Montreal. It's very warm now, isn't it? It's contrary to our eastern friends from Canada. Well, Jeff has asked a question about the peregrine falcon, which is a wonderful bird. How fast can it actually fly, or how fast can it dive? Would that be the right question to dive? Yeah, as a stoot. That's right. That's correct. That was correct. That is.
I believe the answer is 242 miles per hour.
242 miles per hour. My goodness. Jeff, what do you say?
Yeah, that's right. About 240 mile an hour.
You're absolutely right. That was incredible. I mean, that is an incredible speed. It's actually unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So great. Well done. So please, very nice to hear from you. Please don't forget to leave your name with our team. You know, you can email us, by the way. I'm just going to see if I don't have the email address.
I will do, Dr. Sasse.
Yeah, thank you
so
so
much
much for participating. Wonderful to have you. Thank you. Okay.
I'm a big fan.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. Take care. Well, that was absolutely wonderful. There were some great questions you asked, Jeff. Thank you so much. So let's go and spin the wheel now. Let me go here. Now, I had a complaint here from my team that was still the old wheel. Unfortunately, I didn't see that we had a new wheel, so there will be a new wheel next time. So let's just see, where is my wheel now? Here it should be. There it is. So, Jeff, can you see the wheel?
Yeah.
Good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spin the wheel. 1 second, if I can manage that without Windows always jumping up here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the wheel is spinning, and you just say stop at whenever.
Stop.
Okay, that's a beautiful image that the first contestant has won. So this is done down on Boundary Bay Beach. That is an eagle. Actually, we haven't had that. I don't remember ever giving this picture away, but it's beautiful, just catching a fish. So that's the first one. Congratulations! And now let's go and do some more spinning. So, Jeff, up to you again.
Stop.
Okay, that's an Alaska. That's an Alaskan eagle, really beautiful, just facing us. So that is the winner number 2, and one more.
Stop.
Okay, that's a beautiful one. That is the big-eyed one. That's a picture that went viral on Facebook. That went into the 50 to 100,000 shares. That is, I think I call it looking at you. So those are very nice pictures you've won. Congratulations to all. And let's get Jeff back on the screen. So many pictures here. I have to find Jeff now. Where are you? Here's Jeff. 1 second. I'm just going to hide that picture. And there we go. There's Jeff back. Thank you so much, Jeff. That's wonderful. And thanks. Yeah, remind winners to send email to info@sassemedia.com. That's it. info@sassemedia.com. That is the email address. And next time we're going to have a new wheel. That's very nice. So yes, that was the old wheel, but I have a much more beautiful wheel. So we're going to show a new beautiful wheel to spin. Well, Jeff, very nice, and very nice to see that you're a musician too and have your very nice guitars in the background. Thank you so much for taking part today. It's been an absolute pleasure and really, really educational and interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and thanks to my team too. So I'm just going to show that now. So 1 second, I'm just going to show. Thanks to my team members, that's Sasha and Nichole for organizing this, Jenny for building a new, I suppose that is correct, you built a new wheel, which we're going to see next time, Kevin for being wonderful support, all the while the technical support, who's also made it possible for multiple calls to come in, Susie Q for all her dedication, and Belladonna I have not seen today, I hope she's okay. And just a reminder, we're going to show a lot more. On Sunday, there's a very interesting topic, and you can see it's hot topic. I hope you can read it. It says Eagles and Electrocution, why? So I myself am an electrical engineer. I've worked with these type of so-called medium voltage networks. By the way, Jeff is an electrician, so he just as well understands this. So the big question on electrocution, what we're going to do is something really interesting. David Hancock has a juvenile that recently died of electrocution. He's going to take it out of the freezer. We're going to go back. We're going to go back to the spot where it was actually electrocuted, and we're going to examine and understand better what actually happens, why birds get electrocuted, and also, of course, into the prevention, what utilities can do to prevent that, because unfortunately the mortality rate from electrocution is very high. So, very nice. So, having said that, thank you so much, everybody, for participating. I hope you enjoyed it. So, we're going to have many more shows in future also in 4K, which is very nice. I can see all my friends here on Periscope say, thank you, Dr. Sasse. Will you post the email? Yes, to post the email, it was again Sassemedia, sorry, I better get this right. Hang on, sorry. Info, yeah, I can't put it on the screen because I don't have it on the screen. But it is just say info@Sasse, that's my surname, Sassemedia.com. Very simple, info@Sassemedia.com for those of you who have participated. Thank you so much. I'm just seeing the comments. So yes, and we definitely have it on YouTube. We've posted it, but I will make sure that next time I include the email address. So thank you for all of you for participating. You can see my stream is just, yeah, there we go. So it's all working. Anyway, so I'm going to also broadcast more in 4K. I've got a lot of beautiful eagle footage, so accompanied by beautiful music. So it's going to get better and better, and there are going to be many more shows. So thank you to everyone for participating. Now I have to just, I'm first going to say goodbye to my YouTube viewers. Goodbye. And now, yeah, I think we had a problem there also on YouTube. I could just see that. And now finally, I'm going to say, let me just see. I've got so many switches here. I hope I can find this. Let me just see. Where are we? Yeah, there we are. I found it. So I'm going to stop streaming now and wish you a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for, here I'm supposed to look there. I've got this camera. Thank you so much for participating. All the best, and see you Sunday. See you Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time for Eagles and Electrocution. Thank you so much.